What's up, guys? How's it going? It is a beautiful day down here in Pueblo. We actually just had a snowstorm come through the past couple days. Starting to melt off, blue skies, and I'm in a pretty good mood. This has been sort of a long time in the making. Actually, maybe not in the making, but in the waiting to buy. I usually take a lot of pride in building my own things like the rear bumper, my roof rack, and a lot of other things. But sometimes it doesn't work out that way where you can do it yourself. I like to, one, because I take pride in doing it, but it saves me money as well, which is always nice. But Mary and I have been down in the basement, busy finishing it, and I just haven't had time to devote to other projects like this. So, finally saved up enough of my money and bit the bullet, and I bought a front bumper. And I'm really excited. Let's check it out. So I ended up going with the 4XInnovations front bumper. They've got a couple varieties that you can pick from and change up the hoops and all that, but I wanted a bumper that was low profile, didn't really stick out too far. A lot of the bumpers I've seen have sort of that fat lip, just like the later third gens, and I'm not really a big fan of that. So this bumper maintains a pretty low profile while still being able to house a winch completely internally inside of the bumper, which is nice. Some of the bumpers, the winches stick up out of the top, and then you actually have to cut your grill. I got a nice grill, and I didn't really want to do that. So that was pretty important to me. Affordability and lead time were two other factors for me. I didn't want to wait 6 months to get a bumper, and I also didn't want to pay $2,000 for a bumper. So this one sort of is a good blend of checking all those boxes. It's not the best at any one of those, but it's a pretty good compromise across all those. So it is an absolute tank. I want to say it's 3/16 plate for the whole body of the bumper, and then all the mounts are like 1/2-inch plate. So it's not going anywhere, and it weighs a ton. So we've got turn signal mounts on the outside, openings for fog lights, which have brackets inside for mounting your fog lights too, which is nice. And then these are just access holes for getting to your winch. But if you're not running a winch, you could also add additional lights there, which is pretty sweet. It's got jacking points for using a high lift jack on both sides. And this thing has a ton of mounting locations. It's got, let's see, 2, 4, 5, 6, I think, on each side here, and then it's got some mounting locations along the bottom. Again, this thing is absolutely stout. I ended up going with the low, I think it's like the lower mid hoop there in the front, so that way it shows off my grill still, which, yeah, it's a cosmetic thing, but I thought that would look a little bit cleaner. And then it's got toe points or recovery points up on the front. I want to say they're about 5/8 of an inch thick, so they are fully welded on the outside and on the inside, so they're solid. Really can't comment enough on the build quality of this bumper. And at the price point, I want to say it's right around $700 or $800. You can't go wrong. I've got some lights we'll go check out here in a second, what we're going to be popping in there. And then the turn signals have that hyper flash, so I need to get that fixed. So I'll show you guys how you can fix that if you've got a similar issue. And yeah, it's not going to be a long video, but if this interests you guys, checking out the bumper, stick around, wait till the end of the video, you'll get to see the final product. Hit subscribe, like, I appreciate it. At the time of filming this, we're coming up on 200 subscribers. That's awesome. It's grown a lot quicker actually than I anticipated, so I appreciate all you guys. So as far as lights go, we've got our fog lights here, and then we've got turn signals. The bumper came with a set of turn signals, but they were pretty plain Jane LEDs, so I ended up wanting to get something a little bit more unique. So these are from Morimoto, and they are the Mod Pod. So they're really affordable. I want to say, less than 30 or 40 bucks a piece. And you can get them in amber, you can get them in white, you can get them in switchbacks. So I don't know, I thought they were pretty unique, pretty cool. They've got sort of this Gatling gun style design to them. So pretty cool. They've got a variety of ways that you can mount them up. Obviously these are all dirty and muddy because they've been mounted up on the truck already, but they're really sweet and I'm a big fan, highly recommend. And then as far as fog lights go, I wanted to get some yellow or amber, if you will. And unfortunately, currently don't have the money to get a set of, Baja Designs or similars. So for right now, we are rocking the Amazon specials. And honestly, I usually like to get name brand stuff, but for the money and for right now, honestly kind of impressed with their output. They're definitely They're definitely not a great finish to them. Brackets are rusting already. But as far as light output goes and in the snow, they've actually been really good so far. So I'm going to be keeping my eye out for a nice set maybe on Facebook Marketplace so I can upgrade these. But for right now, this is what we're running. So these came with just bare wire ends on them. So I've purchased these connectors before. It's a male and female. You solder them on. And I did the same on the truck side. So that way it's all plug and play. These guys, I had not done that yet. So I still need to get some connectors soldered on. So that way these can get plugged up. So that's what we're going to be running for lights. And then these shrouds, these came with the turn signals from 4XInnovations. And I'm still going to be using these because these LED lights are a bit small in that opening, so it helps sort of fill in that gap. So I also noticed when I was removing the bumper from the truck, all of these are the same size bolts, but I have about 3 different size heads on these various fasteners because all I did was go into the bolt bin and find some that bolted up. So we're also going to be heading over to the hardware store, picking up some class 10.9 metric bolts. For those of you who are unaware, that is sort of the metric grade 8 equivalent. So they're going to be plenty strong for what we're using them for. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the turn signals. Like I said, these just have some makeshift pins that I put on there for my temporary wiring. So we'll get those nipped off. And then we are going to use some of these connectors. So it's a male and a female, and you put your pins in the back, bada bing bada boom. That way if I ever have to remove the bumper, I don't have to cut wires. I've got nice watertight connectors. So we use those for my wiring. I've got just some sheathed 2-strand, so that'll be nice. And then for extra abrasion protection, I've got this, it's just an additional sheathing that is expandable, and run your wires through that and it'll just help protect it. And then to top that off, make sure everything stays tight, heat shrink, and this is marine grade heat shrink, so it's actually got an adhesive on the inside. So again, it pretty much creates a watertight seal and eliminates corrosion. So we'll be using that. All right, we've got our male connectors on here, these pins, and so you'll crimp them on there, but generally I actually add solder as well because I've had these pull out before and that always sucks. So dropped a little solder in there so those aren't going anywhere. Then I'm going to get some of this protective sheathing run for each one of these, so we'll measure some of that out. I can kind of inchworm it and then grab the wires, and then it starts working its way up. Because I don't really want this going anywhere, we're going to add some heat shrink on both ends of that. You don't want to get too close to that sheathing that you put on there because it'll actually start to melt it. So we've got these little plugs, and these plugs create the watertight seal in the back of our connectors. So we'll slide one of those up on each. There we go. Okay. All right, get that clipped in. I had to adjust my wires here. So we've got another piece of heat shrink we got to buzz on there. And I'm also going to leave just a hair bit of wires exposed so that I can see which color wires on which side of the pin. And that way I can make sure on the vehicle side that I get them matched up properly. Cool. That's one down. We'll get the other one knocked out. But I'm not going to bore you with that. So fast forward to it. On to fog light wiring. So like I said, I already got these hooked up with the male connectors. So we've got our female pigtails here, and we need to get these wired up to a harness on the vehicle side. So we're gonna have a left and a right, or a right and a left, and we need some wires to connect them. And we're gonna have some vehicles, and we're gonna have some wires coming from the vehicle. So we're just pretty much gonna create a couple splitters off of the power and the negative, and then that way we've got one to run to each. Cool. We are all stripped, except for me. Alright, so we already got our butt joints finished up here. Doing some heat shrink on there on the individual wires. And then again, because I like to make sure that everything's protected really well, I'm also going to throw a larger piece to cover that entire spread, so that way it's protected. Alright, I like it. We've got our two strands here for both of our lights. I went ahead and twisted them together, and I'm going to tin these so that way they stay together nice and are easier to solder to our wires that are already on the vehicle. Whew, it's getting toasty. So we've already got our wires hooked up to our aux beam panel in here. So I just cut myself another piece of this sheathing, and to protect these wires, I'm gonna feed it through. The whole inch worm process kind of takes a little bit, but you can't really just slide it all the way on. It's like pushing a rope. If you haven't tried that before, go give it a shot. So, if it isn't obvious, red to red, black to black, that's what we're going to do. Going to go ahead and get our heat shrink slipped on to each of these. The more projects like this you'll do and soldering you do, too many times you forget to put the heat shrink on beforehand and kick yourself in the butt. Ah! Trying to cut the little wires, not my fingers. Dang. Bare copper wire, and we'll go ahead and just wrap that around the wires that we've already tinned. Here's where we got to get creative with just two hands. Prop up our soldering iron right there. All right, good. Oh, baby. And watch out for your soldering iron. Damn. Well, luckily it just went through that sheathing. Hey, you know what? Good thing we got this sheathing on here. Still kind of a bummer though. Alright. It's kind of a chilly day out today, so I don't mind using this heat gun all that much. It's kind of warming me up. Ooh. And here I am wishing I would have put another piece of heat shrink on. But it is what it is. Might hit that with a little electrical tape just to hide that. But all in all, not too bad. We'll fish these wires through the truck and get these turn signals taken care of. And since I'm going to have to wait about a week or so until I get my bumper back, and I'm probably going to be driving around some, I'm just going to coil these wires up. Cool. Alright, turn signal time. Oh, there's a rock under my knee. Get out of here. So like I said, we are going to nip off these factory plugs. Boink! Pull off that sheathing because we can put on our own. This most stripping I've ever done on camera, I tell you what. Alright, so now we're putting on the female connectors. These guys, which are for our turn signals. So we've got our little connectors that we've got to get crimped on here. A little pinchy pinch. Nice. Yes, we will be soldering these, don't worry. I'll see if this is hot yet. Just kidding. Just kidding. Oh yeah, that wouldn't have felt good on the tongue. Are there better ways to do this? Probably. Probably. But I don't feel like taking the time to figure it out. So, let's do one of these numbers. Oof. Alright. Moment of truth. We're in business. Let's go. Oh god, that's bright. Okay. Cool. One down, and some bitch, of course, I forgot to put my sheathing on there. So, yeah, we'll get that wrapped up later. Cool. I'm going to knock out the right-hand side, the passenger side. And the next time you see me, we'll be bolting up the bumper. So, I'll catch you guys in a little bit. That's slick. So we got the bumper back from powder coat. It's been about 2.5 weeks now. Took a little bit longer than I was hoping for, but it looks great. Gonna go ahead and get the fog lights and the turn signals swapped in there. We're gonna get her mounted up. I'm pretty excited. Let's check it out. Wind's starting to pick up, man. Now pretty much just have to get the resistors put on for the turn signals to get rid of that hyper flash. Got to move Mary's rig out of the way. Her alternator just took a poop, so didn't really plan accordingly. So I'm probably just gonna roll her 4Runner back because it's got no power right now. Pull mine up. We'll get her mounted up. So these are the resistors that we're going to be using. I bought these in a kit on Amazon, and I can drop that link in the description below. But you'll get 2 resistors, one for each turn signal, and a couple of these crimp connectors pretty much. So essentially what you're going to need to do is identify which of your wires on your vehicle. You're probably going to have 3 wires. You're going to have a ground, you're going to have a turn signal, and probably a daytime running light or something like that. I only have 2 wires because I'm only running a turn signal. I'm not running DRLs. So for me, it's pretty simple. But essentially what you need to do is identify your ground and your turn signal wire. And all you're doing is bridging those 2 wires with this resistor. So what we're going to do is we will insert one end of our resistor wire into one of these connectors. And then we will take our ground wire or a turn signal wire, either one, and we'll slip it through this crack. And then we'll close this on it, and there's a blade in here that's going to pierce both wires and make a connection between them. You'll do that on the ground wire on one end, and then on your turn signal wire on the other end. And that's it. It's pretty simple. Your daytime running light, you'll just avoid using that wire. And a simple way to identify that is simply by using a multimeter. Turn your turn signal on, connect one of your prongs of your multimeter to the ground, and then just check the other two and see which one's flashing, and that'll be your turn signal. All right, and then there's two little grooves in here. You want to make sure that that is riding where that wire should be. And we'll take our resistor, and we will sneak it into the other end. And we'll clamp that together. I usually like to use some vice grips or some pliers just to make sure we're getting a good grip on that and that it's piercing the wires like it should. Alright. That's all it takes. So we got that one installed on that wire. And that's all you need to do. And then what we'll do is we'll just find a spot to probably just zip tie this in place or get some sheet metal screws and tap it into place. You want this probably connected to part of the body because these can get warm, so you don't really want them up against other wiring or plastic. So these need to be able to cool. So we'll go ahead and get the other side knocked out, and then we'll get the bumper mounted up. It would definitely be wiser to do this with another person, but I'm kind of impatient, so we'll see. I might have to end up waiting for Mary to get home. Alright, shouldn't go anywhere. I'm going to get up here and stand on this corner, and if you can just tighten this back one. Oh yeah. I don't have enough to do it by myself. So the back one? Yep, the back one. It's not moving much. Okay. Alright.
I've been breaking a lot of shit lately.
Damn.
It came right back up.
Yeah, my fat ass wasn't enough.
No, it came down. Have you wrecked it?
This frame has been wrecked. I didn't. I bought this frame thinking it was a good frame, and the guy lied to me, and turns out it was in a front-end collision. And
that's what it looks like.
yeah, 100%. So I'm wondering. So this right here mounts to a flat plate, and then same with on the other side. And I'm wondering if those flat plates aren't kicked forward a little bit, causing it to lean up. Like this is the gap I want.
That's what you had. You
Because
fucking jumped off, man.
Because it's a body on frame, so the body moves separate from the frame.
That's true.
So I need to have a gap, otherwise I'll for sure
You're
get
gonna be hitting it.
Yeah. Well, let me ponder it for a bit.
Yeah, no, I'm just outside. Just
Okay.
call me if you need anything.
Alright, dude. I appreciate it. Alright. I am stoked. Luckily, my neighbor Joe came over and helped me get it mounted up. I was struggling a bit by myself. It just couldn't, on the side over here, couldn't get it to have a gap really between the bumper and the body. And that's a problem. So we ended up shimming down at the bottom, and that brought the bottom out so we could kind of kick it back. And it looks pretty dang clean now. Now we need a moment of truth to see if all my wiring worked out. Woo! All lights work. Oh yeah, hyperflash is resolved. Let's go. All right, she is done and she is looking pretty good. This has been a long time coming and I'm pretty happy. I'm pretty much content now with how the 4Runner is. We all know how that actually goes, but I'm pretty happy with how she sits right now. I think the bumper is really clean. Found a good mixture of aesthetics, cost, and kind of having some of those other features that I was looking for. So I'm pretty happy. If you got any questions about lights, turn signals, the bumper from 4XInnovations, which again I think is pretty top notch, I'd say bang for the buck, out of this world. You know, you're looking at probably one of the cheapest bumpers that you can buy, and this thing is built like an absolute tank. And just the quality of it, the welds are all clean, very professional job, so I can highly recommend them. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and hit like down below. Subscribe if you want to stick around and find what I'm gonna say next, because it never seems to make sense. If you liked the video, we'd love it if you'd hit like, subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, where Mary and I getting out and camping and checking out a lot of neat places in Colorado. Appreciate it, guys. I'll catch you on the next one.